I'm Min from PonderEd. This video is about the study method, tips for the study method. The lecture material, that is a long video which is running like 40 to 50 minutes, is something that providing as a core, meaning that something like textbook. So all the basic ideas and then the really form the methods that the build will be there. But that sometimes is not good enough for you to actually adopt and utilize it. The reason is because your way of thinking is different, your approach in the study is different, and probably your kind of like dealing with the subject is a little bit different. So with this short video that I'm gonna provide is some of the tips that I'm not gonna be dealing with inside of the lectures. Now, this is as a first video of this study tips that I'm gonna start with the knowledge. The knowledge, well, in for the exact method, the full method dealing with the knowledge will be on the core lectures, but this is a little bit different story. So knowledge, as you see, is generally with the names. For example, time. If you have a concept built with the times, then you know that what is time, and then you know how to use it. You probably are using it right now. Is it time for the lunch? Is it time for the breakfast? Is it time to go home, or something like that? You use this concept over and over, and sometimes you can even teach. If you have children, you probably have some of the books that dealing with like all these different times, and then I remember that with my son that had the books with it, and then drawing that what time is it, like at 4 o'clock, how to draw it, and then how to figure out that actually the time that is given in the book, that writing the time from that figure or something like that. Mostly that the people are learning concept in this way, how to use it based on the usage. And because of that, when you're taking the concept, time as a time, you know and you understand what is time. And you use it. But let's think about the most the example that I always, the person that I use as an example all the time is Albert Einstein. If Albert Einstein is he thought the time, he accepts the time as something that as people accept in the same, then probably he probably couldn't be able to develop this relativity theory. He was looking at the time in a different way, and he was looking at the space in a different way. He was looking at the speed of the light in a different way. Once he was able to really looking at this in the different ways, then he was able to figure out that the relative relationship among those concepts. Then there's the relativity theory born. Something like this. Now, if you ask this to check this, if you know concept as just simply as a concept that you know, or if that is something that you gave a thought and you really thought about it, it's simple. You ask questions about the time and then something like this. What is time and where the time comes from? Ask yourself. If you are struggling to figure out how to answer, that means that you never thought about this time really with your brain to figure out what it is. That means you are able to use it, you can, you know it, you understand the time, but that's not from your brain work, your thought processes. If you are not able to use your thought processes, and then understanding, digesting these concepts, that means that you are just simply repeating what you were learned from about the time. Okay. For example, let's say this is water, and then you talk about the water, and then you know that this is water, and then you drink the water, But if you cannot really say if with the question like what is water, and then what is where the water comes from, what does it look like? If you cannot really answer these questions, that means that your brain just accepts the knowledge, and then you can utilize it and you can use it, but that's the end of it. You cannot really process this concept inside of your brain. So in that case, simply try to write about the water. Try to write about something about the time. What happens? You will have a limited sentences to write. Unless you really describe water is transparent and then it's a smell, it doesn't have any smell, and then you think about what is the smell, and then I cannot really answer it. Okay, smell is something to, and then you observe yourself and to figure out that the smell is something that chemicals touches your nose and then gives you a signal, goes to the brain, and the brain recognizes with something that it has some sort of like chemicals in it, which I can eat it or not, or which looks like harmful to breathe or something like that. With simple water, you can go all the way to there. With the time, you can ask time yourself and think about it. Time is from, if you were able to really describe it, time is because there's a sunlight and then Earth is rotating. Because of that, it has day and night, and because of the length of the rotating the speed, it has it divided into 24-hour time zone, the units, and then that gives the the time that we are using. If you are able to really think through and explain something like this, then this is the knowledge that you built with your brain. So time, the concept, requires something like a geophysical, geological, and then earth science related, and the water itself is a brain work, everything, taste or color, the physics involved. You will have to build these concepts to make your brain to actually work for the develop the thought processes. So thought processes is the methodology to develop your brain. And then while you are developing it, now you can build knowledge, and then you can you learn how to expand the knowledge, and then later on you can utilize it. You have freedom, a lot more freedom compared to anybody else. If you have something like this water is for drinking, and this water requires for all the life forms or something, if you ask your children or any students or any friends to think about, write about the water and then compare with yours, you will be surprised that they are pretty much the same. The contents will be the same. Only differences would be something like the time they express. When they are expressing the time, they use a different verb or adjectives or something like word differences, but other than that, everything will be the content itself basically will be similar. Okay. So now, if you started to develop the thought processes that I'm talking about, the methodology, if you wanted to develop it, then from now what you need to do, you need to take the knowledge as a name, just only the name, and then you have to describe it, observe and describe it by yourself about the topic. Okay. And that can be started from as simple as questioning to observe. What color do I see from the water? What smell do I smell? What type of smell? What taste do I have on my mouth when I put it on my mouth, or something like that? Or as simple as possible, ask your questions, what is water? And then you compare with the answers to see that if that comes from from the thought processes. If it comes from the answer is like for drinking, this is once water exists, then you can drink. So for you, if you for your brain, it look like it is a knowledge that you found out, but it's not actually. The drinking water is for drinking. That answer can be from anybody, because every single life form drinks. Okay, and even monkeys, they can separate eagles from leopard, and they have different signals. The signaling system is very complicated. They can have a lot more details in it. And what they can do, yet when they see eagles, they just yell out that signal. When you say time as a time, you're just saying the time as a time. The signal, it is a signal, it's not the thought processes. Okay? So if you wanted to develop thought processes, you should be able to start digesting the knowledge. And the digesting the knowledge is something that you ask about the questions, to asking for definition, and then try to answer it and see if you are able to describe it. If you are not able to describe it, then start with the questions to observe, and then observe and describe. These will be the basic steps. So from now on, whenever you see the knowledge, you take whatever that you are facing, the new words or anything, you have to start from there. Okay, and then go take the lectures that I provide, that long one. Then you will see that how to deal with these subjects, and how to handle it, how to approach it from the beginning, and why, and then what that will really, what does that do in your for your brain development, in terms of brain development. Okay. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll come back with different stories.